Hey, happy Thursday, everybody, and welcome to another Chamber Check-In episode from Idaho's only five-star accredited chamber. Today, I'm honored to feature Mike Adler. He is the president, founder, CEO of Adler Industrial. I'm going to bring him on the screen right now. Hi, Mike.
Hello, Paul. How are you?
I'm terrific. Hey, thanks for the
Okay.
opportunity to feature Adler Industrial. These chamber check-ins, I've been featuring chamber member businesses since the start of the pandemic. And in the beginning, Mike, it was all about, hey, how are you holding up? How's your team doing? What's going on, right? We're checking in with you. And it's really turned into, after 4 years, it's turned into an opportunity to dive more into the origin stories of our member businesses, learn about their products, services, but most importantly, the people. So if I can brag on you just a moment, Michael, I have a little bit of your bio here. Michael has received his degree in business administration with majors in real estate and finance from the University of Denver. Mike also holds an MAI designation from the Appraisal Institute and a CPM designation from the Institute of Real Estate Management. Now, I don't know what those accolades are, or those letters, but what it means is you're pretty good at what you're doing and you're an expert in your field. Um, Mike's an active member of the Idaho chapter of the Urban Land Institute, serves on the board of directors for the Boise Valley Economic Partnership and the Warner Center Association, among other things outside of Idaho. In addition, you've been a chamber member for the past 5 or 6 years. So thank you for those investments and the quality time you spend with the community. Appreciate that, Mike.
No, you're welcome.
So, Michael, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background? I always am curious why people get involved in the industries that they're in. So, take us back a little bit. What was the kind of the starting point in your background and history of work that led you to where you are today?
Well, I mean, I've always been an entrepreneur. Ever since I was a kid, I was either shoveling snow off people's sidewalks and driveways, or cutting lawns in the summertime, and always tried to get business that way. Um, I I had a real interest in real estate and real estate development since I was younger as well, and in fact, that's why I went to college to really major in this and understand how it works, and and then continued education on in valuation and property management. And at the time, I didn't realize that all of those things together really allowed me to have the skill sets to really operate a full service real estate investment company. I started my company in 1996 in LA, and then grew it into a national national company. My forte was really identifying undervalued properties in areas that really had some upside potential, and it led me to areas like Phoenix and Dallas and Denver and LA, and and then ultimately to Boise. And I'm always looking for, at the time I was always looking for what's an area that properties are currently undervalued, and they'll ultimately go up in value. At least I think they will. And I started looking in the Boise market in 2016, and then really started acquiring properties. I think we went under contract on the first one in 2017, and then a larger one in 2018.
Wow. So I had no idea that you started this in 1996 in LA. I can't imagine that market then. I can't even imagine it now. And then when you landed to Boise, you actually moved, you and your family moved here, correct?
My family came out after I did. I was going back and forth, really working 2 weeks here and 2 weeks there, and I really wanted to spend a lot more time here. And it wasn't until the beginning of COVID, when California shut down and everyone was locked in their houses, and we were locked down for a couple of weeks, and then we were open for business. And not only were we open for business, but I found myself in the sweet spot of business, where we had to build fulfillment centers and distribution facilities and all the different types of buildings that businesses needed for the transformation from people going to retail stores and buying their product there to buying online, and where does it get delivered from, and how does it get delivered, and where does it get stored. It's not stored in retail stores anymore. They were all closed, so they needed to be stored in industrial buildings. So all of a sudden we found that we were really in a great spot to help with that part of the economy at that point in time in Boise.
So that leads me to my next question. Adler Industrial has proven to be the premier industrial real estate development company, probably the largest in the Boise area. Tell us a little bit about that story. You kind of started with, the opportunity, the timing was there, but it also takes a commitment to thinking about the future. Tell me a little bit about and help share that kind of story of Adler. What was some of the first properties that you helped develop, and bring us up to speed on Adler's origin story?
Well, Adler Industrial became in existence. We incorporated it in 2019, beginning of 2019, end of 18, beginning of 19. When our first acquisition was a lumber mill in Meridian that we have leased to Ida Pines, and then in the same year I met Ron Van Acker and negotiated a deal with him to buy most of his properties, probably almost all of the ones that they still had, and also which included about 80 properties, including land and buildings. And that gave me enough scale to really create a platform here that we could then build our own product and really expand on that platform. And from the Van Acker group, we were able to bring Brad Miller on board and Jake Miller, no relation. One ran my construction group, or one runs my construction group, and one is the managing director of all of the property operations. So it started off with two really seasoned people that have been in the business in the Boise area forever. And then from there, we really built upon it, and we've seen tremendous growth since then.
I remember back in maybe 17 or 18, and I'm driving around working for the chamber and generating new chamber memberships, and I kept seeing the Adler sign. And I'm like, what is that? Who is this? And so I reached out to you and Ruth, and you're like, oh yeah, we'll join the chamber. And so that was my first interaction with you and your wife and your team there at the time. I just thought, oh, what a great group of people. And you were receptive. You answered your phone. You got back to me. And I tell you what, that's a common thing that is not commonly done anymore. So I really like that interaction with you and your team. We talked a little bit about some of your first projects. I had no idea about that timber shop. That's really cool. But now with 4 million square feet is what I thought I heard. So that's what I find fascinating. 4 million square feet of development. Adler's acquired or developed in the Boise Metro. You shared some of the first projects that propelled the growth, and touch on some of the current projects that people might not be aware of.
Well, some of the current projects. I tried to make a list because it's hard to keep track of everything right now. We have about 80 building. Actually, I'm not sure of the exact number, but we have a lot of buildings, roughly 4 million square feet in this market, and we also have about 1,000 acres of land that we've been acquiring bits and pieces and joint venturing with different groups over time to assemble land all over the valley, so that is all zoned industrial, so that whenever a new business comes to town, we have the ability to build for them, and we can either be their landlord, or we can do a build to suit for them, and they can take ownership themselves, or we sell them their piece of land and they can own it themselves. Some of the people that we've done build to suits for recently, and either we've completed or we're in the process of completing right now. We have Convoy Supply, Irby, Whitecap, Tesla, Black Market Gelato. It's an ice cream manufacturing facility. Frito-Lay, we just finished their distribution facility. Hensel Phelps and Pods had just taken occupancy in a building by the airport. Coast Aluminum, we built them a facility out in Nampa. Mission Foods expanded into a new facility of ours in Meridian. Arizona Tile, we built a facility for them. Amazon.com, we built their delivery center. Lactala Sorrento, we just renewed them in an existing large warehouse. 84 Lumber, we did a build to suit for them. And JST Manufacturing was really the first high tech use that we did in the Valley. And those are some of the ones that we've done in the last couple of years.
Thank you for that huge, diverse list of companies that are taking manufacturing, warehousing, distribution, because Boise's a hub now. Boise, you know what? Used to be Salt Lake was the hub, and Portland was the hub, but we're getting closer and closer to being more hubs for retail, for grocery. I love that. And people, yeah, go ahead, Mike. You were going to say something.
No, I was going to say I agree. I don't know that we're a hub. We're never going to be a big distribution center area. We just don't have the freeway systems or the airports to support it. But what we've become is the regional hub for the Intermountain West area that's between Salt Lake City and Portland. Right. And so we're starting to see a lot of people that used to get their supplies that were trucked in from other places. They now have enough economy of scale here in the Treasure Valley and in Idaho in general to say, hey, we need a warehouse here, or we need a platform in this market. And we're seeing a lot of national businesses now put facilities in the Treasure Valley that normally would be servicing our region from somewhere else.
I love that. And then one of the Frito-Lay warehouse, a distribution center, that's close to my heart because I was in grocery for 20 years, and I love it as crunching into growth. That's got to be a huge deal for them and their team as this community grows. We're talking about what your team is building. What does that mean for your clients?
Well, it's causing them to need to grow along with the population base. Frito-Lay was in Boise, and they had another facility in town, and they grew out of it. Yeah. As the population grows, and they need more potato chips and more Doritos and everything else that they make to serve the growing population. So they needed a bigger facility, and we built them a new, larger facility.
Probably safer, more efficient, right? Everything's all the efficiencies.
Yeah, the new buildings are really amazing. How the racking works and how the technology works. We finished a building for Ferguson Plumbing Supply. It's their regional distribution hub, and they don't have forklift operators. Everything is done automatically with I guess non-operated forklifts, and they all are guided by lasers, and they have barcode scanners that can read products on shelves, so they don't need somebody to pick inventory. They can automatically pick themselves, and Amazon is very similar as well. So yeah. a lot of companies now are getting really high tech in how they operate, and what's interesting about that is it creates better jobs for our population. Instead of all just a whole bunch of warehouse workers being hired. Now they need people to operate machines. They need people to operate the computers that are operating the machines. They're much higher paying jobs than what used to be available.
Robots and humans collaborating, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome, Mike. Hey, you were mentioning Jake and Brad and Miller on your team, not related. But what I would love for you to do is shout out some of your experienced team members, because as you and I both know, it takes a team to get work done. Why don't you help share with the listeners and myself some of your experienced team members?
Yeah, I absolutely. I mean, I think it's because of my team is why we're successful. It's, I'm really amazed at what everybody does. Everyone does their job better than I could ever do any of those jobs. And we have Rick Gable, who's our president. He's been with me for 20 years. As Andrea Myers, who's our transaction manager. She's also been with me for over 20 years. We have Mandana Tar, who runs our asset management. She's been with me for about 11 or 12 years. And in the last couple of years, we've hired Charity Nelson, who used to work for BVAP, and she heads up our leasing and HR. Will Gouda, we just hired as our development manager, and he has great experience in both construction and development management. Brett Ham, we just hired as our chief legal counsel last year, and he's been great. And Bill Ryle, who was our controller, we've recently promoted him to CFO. Oh. And so we're real happy with what he's been doing. And I'll tell you, managing the accounting of what we do is really hard in that we're always doing a million different things at once. And then we've recently hired Jana Jones, who also worked at the chamber, and she's our chief of staff. So I feel like we really have a good core team, along with our amazing superintendents and accounting and administrative staff. I think we have a team that I never thought we would have.
That's incredible. And I've been to your offices here on Emerald, and I've been in there. You've got a great culture. People are lively, they're vibrant, and they're doing some great things. And as this community grows, we need to partner more with companies like yours. And are you looking for any help? Tell us a little bit about what is available. We're always looking for help, right? Workforce is the number one challenge out here.
Every time I think we don't need anyone else, we've been hiring other people. And right now we are actually fully staffed. But we had been looking for people on the development side, on the accounting side, on the management side. Right now, we're good with where we're at.
Wow, that's awesome! Congratulations for that.
Thank you.
Hey, as we finish up our conversation, is there anything else that you'd like to educate me and the listeners on while we have you today, Michael?
Well, I mean, a couple new things that we're doing. I want to announce one. We just signed a big development deal to build a new facility for Johnson Thermal Supply. They build backup generators for data centers and large users, and that's going to be a 170,000 square foot facility in Nampa at our Adler Midland Industrial Park. And then recently we've joint ventured with some other local developers. We've BVA, Brighton, and Van Auker. With BVA, we were brought in to build the industrial component of their new District to 10 Mile project, and then we're also joint venturing with them on the Pleasant Valley property by the airport, and then also our airport, some land around the airport that we're developing industrial buildings on. And then with Brighton, we have joint venture to build a couple of buildings with them at the 10 Mile Crossing property, which is right across the street from the Tesla and Amazon buildings that we built the Amazon building already, and we're almost finished with the Tesla facility. So this really gives us a strong market hold in that area. And then with Van Acker, we have they brought us into the Johnson Thermal deal to develop that property with them, and they'll be our partner on that one. So what's really great about the market, and what I like about it is it's easy to do business with other people that are in the market, and I really like having the camaraderie of being able to do things with different groups.
I love that, because you don't find that everywhere.
No. Most other areas are much more cutthroat.
Oh, that's great. Thank you for mentioning that. It's always nice to see our real estate development partnering with each other and collaborating for the better good of all. I think that's crucial. Mike, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. I learned a ton. We're excited for you to come to Leadership Conference. I know you're going to be speaking on a panel about energy in Idaho and growth thereof. So we're excited to hear what you have to say about that. And I guess it's your birthday today. So happy birthday, Mike. Thanks for taking time with me. I look forward to seeing you soon, Mike. Say hi to the team for me.
All right. Thank you very much, Paul.
Absolutely. Bye.
All right.